the universe is not at all what we suppose it to be.
Alternative Methods for Treating Cognitive Health Issues, Episode 2 of 3.
And tonight's guest is
Patricia Missakian of the Akashic Records Institute.
And a word from our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by the peanut butter and jelly sandwich Jack just ate, since this is a new podcast and there are no advertisers yet. So if you would like your ad here, contact Jack. Advertising programs start from, that's not so bad, to, wow, what a deal. Look, dude needs funding to do this show, so be a hero and buy some ad space.
And we are recording. Folks, tonight we have a very special guest on our program who's going to be talking to us about one of the alternative methods for coping with stress and cognitive health issues, focusing on the understanding of who you are at your core. And well, I don't want to get too much into it because I love everything about the Akashic Record. And for those of you that follow my blog know how I dabble with it in proving some theories in mathematics. But we are fortunate to have the woman who founded the Akashic Record Institute on the line with us tonight. She's going to tell us all about what the Akashic Record is and her institute. So Patricia, the floor is yours.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to get to know you and your tribe and share a little bit about the Akashic Records and the Institute. So for those of you that are new to the Akashic Records, the Akashic Records is a collection of all your memories, thoughts, and emotions throughout your lifetime and many lifetimes, past lifetimes. So when you learn to access your Akashic Records, you get exposed to not only your memories, the memories that you have lifetime through lifetime, but also the emotions that you felt at that moment and the agreements, the conscious or unconscious agreements that you made with yourself or others as you're living those memories. And most important, you can connect to your Akashic Records in order to reconnect to your gifts or remember a particular skill that you developed through your past lifetime, so you can actually continuing developing that skill in this lifetime and share with others.
That is a very deep statement. So the Akashic Record is a way for you to not only have the skills that you've learned in this lifetime, but all of your lifetimes.
Yes.
That's amazing. What made you get involved in, founding the Akashic Record Institute? And also really, what turned you on to learning about the Akashic Record? What was your aha moment?
Yes. Well, my aha moment comes from my own experience, like living. I'm originally from Brazil, and I moved to the United States I had my little bag of dreams and $600 in my pocket, and I just decided it was time to go somewhere else and learn about myself and learn about life and discover what I was made of. So I pretty much came here, in this, let's see what happens, right? And what I learned through this journey is that, in a way, what I was really doing, I was really wanting to have a different life experience. I wanted to move as far as away from my childhood and from all my experiences in childhood. So what I discovered was that inside the little suitcase that I brought here was my victim mentality. And that victim mentality drew me to, hit the end of the road for me. And it brought me to a very, very hard time in my life. And at that moment, I was in an unfulfilled marriage. I was away from my family. I had no support, and I realized that something needed to change. And for the first time in my life, I realized that it was time to look for the answers inside, that I would not find this answer outside. So as I look back to that moment, I believe it was about 16 years ago, I felt that was really the moment where I heard my call, and I started, researching and learning about healing and massage modalities and energy healing, and developing my intuition, and that led me to connect to the Akashic Records for the first time. And at that moment, when I had my first connection to my Akashic Records, I was able to understand that that I could no longer hold on to emotions, to the agreements that I made from my childhood, from growing up in the situation that I grew up with. And it was very, very healing. I started looking at my family and my mother through a completely different lens. And for me, it helped me to find my own path, right? So that is one of the reasons that I am so passionate about working with the Akashic Records. And then from there, I start, applying that I learned with others. I started accessing my clients' Akashic Records, and I started, seeing the transformation in their lives. And so, on and on, all led me to found the Akashic Records Institute 4 years ago. We just celebrated our 4th year anniversary.
That's absolutely wonderful. Growing up, I've always had a fascination myself with the unknown, and the person that I read up on to learn about the Akashic Record was Edgar Cayce. I truly believe that Edgar Cayce and a few other people throughout history unknowingly at the time accessed their Akashic Record and later found out what they were doing. What is your take on Edgar Cayce and people that say that Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein and most of the great inventors were able to connect to this?
Absolutely. I am a big fan of Edgar Cayce myself. I absolutely, honor his work, and he has written books and books about it. And Einstein too, and there is this, I really believe that the Akashic Records been all around. It's been, if you look, deeply, it's in the Bible, it's in, all different religions, in like different, tribes and shamanic cultures and the witch culture, and it's like there's every culture and religion in a way, already connected to the energy of the Akashic Records, right? So each one has its own name, but it's the oldest form of information, and there are so many different ways to tap into it, right? I believe that, Einstein was through this, connection to this brilliant mind and sacred geometry and mathematics, and Edgar Cayce was through being, right? He would just put himself in a state of meditation and he would connect to the records. So it's definitely a tool that is available to everyone, and there are so many different ways to connect. And I truly believe that, you will, that phrase, the teacher show up when the student is ready, right? There is no better or, way to access is, the way for you. Right, so every person has the ability to connect to this, access this wealth of information available to all.
That's wonderful. Now, at your institution, people are able to learn how to connect with their Akashic Record, or do you read their Akashic Record for them, or both?
Both, yes. And I have like 2 programs, I come from the philosophy that you first have to learn how to access your own Akashic Records so that you can support others, right? So our programs, that is a level 1, which is focus on yourself. You learn many different ways to access your own Akashic Records. You can go to your Akashic Records. You can bring your Akashic Records around you, and that is the best way to access your wisdom acquired through your past lifetimes, so you can, implement and live it in this lifetime. So this is the first level. And then the second level, you learn how to give other people's Akashic Record sessions. And it's a whole 6-month program where I have close contact with the students as a group, and I support them in giving the sessions in the whole structure of how you structure your business and how you can support others, giving them Akashic Record sessions.
Folks, what we're going to do real quick is take a break, and we come right back. We're going to have questions and answers from social media.
Not sleeping well due to a cognitive health issue? Do you rely on medication to help you sleep only to feel unrested, stressed out, and depressed in the morning? Let me help you break your chemical dependency on sleep aids and antidepressants with frequency therapy. Frequency-based music is an excellent, non-invasive alternative for treating mild to severe symptoms of PTSD, depression, ADD, ADHD, insomnia, and in some cases, autism, Alzheimer's, and other stress-related and/or mental health conditions. Mind Toy Box is music composed using the understanding of somatics, the study of the visual effect of frequencies in relation to the human body and mathematics from the points where the Fibonacci sequence and pi meet to offer relief for cognitive health issues. In a recent controlled study, 250 people were given a track to listen to with instructions, and the results were amazing, with over 71% study participants falling asleep within 15 minutes. So, if you're tired of being tired, Mind Toy Box Frequency Therapy may be right for you. Each $10 track is a full frequency therapy session and should be listened to in its entirety without interruption using headphones while either lying down or seated in a comfortable position. Individual results may vary. Please consult your physician before stopping any medication.
And we are back with questions from social media.
The first one coming in from Frederick says, do you think we can access everyone's Akashic Record or just our own?
Hi, Frederick. Thank you for your question. So, yes and no, in a way that as long as you have that person's permission, right, then you can access their records. So the interesting thing about the Akashic Records is that you need to have permission from a person to access that person's Akashic Records, right? So if you're going to access your own Akashic Records, of course, you give yourself permission to access your own Akashic Records, right? But when you ask, can we access everyone's records or just our own? So the answer in that case depends if the person gives you permission. So if a person gives you permission, then yes, you can access their Akashic Records. However, if you just want to, okay, let me see, like, for example, let me go access, Albert Einstein Akashic Records. You cannot, because he's not here to give you permission, right? You can, however, and that is the piece that one of the most fascinating pieces about the Akashic Records and how I connect with it is that you can connect to your own Akashic Records where in the lifetimes that you were brilliant at the connection with sacred geometry, at the connection with mathematics, right? So you can access that wisdom if there is something that you tapped into it before. And in my opinion, when you have a desire to, in anything in life, if you have a desire to learn more about physics, right? So then you can access your own Akashic Records to bring in the wisdom that you acquired from physics that is more than you can learn anywhere else in the world because you know more, right? You connect to your own wisdom.
And this is something, again, that you will teach people if they sign up for your courses, correct?
Yes. I teach the technique that I teach the students is a combination of using a key of access, which are words that bring your energy and vibration in alignment with the fifth dimension, in alignment with the dimension of the Akashic Records. So it's the piece of connecting to, to this key of access, plus developing your intuition so you can decode the message that you're getting through the key of access. So it's a combination of, understanding how you receive information so you can decode that into our third dimensional world.
We had a question come in from Cynthia. She wants to know if there is a benefit to connecting to your Akashic record besides the information you receive.
That's a great question. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for your question. So the benefits of accessing your own Akashic record, this is a very, very important question, because sometimes people come to me like, oh, can I find out if I was, so-and-so in a past life? Or because just the knowledge by itself is not going to support you at this moment in your life. So the best way that you can work with the Akashic records is to find where are you holding yourself back at this moment in your life. So, for example, let's say you are, I just had a client today that came to me because she is, she knows she self-sabotaged herself and she's not finding the person that is going to spend the rest of her life with her, right? So what we did, we looked into her Akashic records and what it is that she is unconsciously holding on to, what agreements she may have made in this lifetime or in a past lifetime that is holding her back. And for her, it actually came from something from this lifetime, because she saw her father leaving her mother for, because of other women. So she had this deep fear to find someone that would betray her, right? So working with her and her Akashic records, she was able to separate her memory of being a very young child. And, as you know, until you're 7 years old, you and your mother, you almost feel like the same thing and you cannot separate the feelings. So through one session, we are able to separate her unconscious agreement that she made with herself when she was in a very young age, that she would never, give herself permission to fully, to fully give herself in a relationship, because she did not want to suffer like she saw her mother suffering when her father left them for another woman, right? So there are so many healing that comes, and deep, profound healing that comes from working with the Akashic records. It's almost like you made this agreement and then you unconsciously hold yourself from living these, what you wanted to live. And in her case, she wanted to find the love of her life and have a fulfilled marriage life, right?
That is very profound. I think that's excellent. It's almost like psychotherapy at a particular level.
Yes. And the interesting thing is that goes beyond, because it goes beyond what we think we know, right? So it goes right to the core of the situation. Sometimes the core of the situation is, many past lives ago, and you just don't understand why you keep attracting these lifetime, the same situations, and you're like, what? So it's very powerful to be able to, to bring it back to someone and see the transformation in a person's life from working with the Akashic records.
We had two questions come in that are similar in nature, so I'm going to read them both, and if you can answer them both in one question, because I don't think it needs two. Brian wants to know, says, do you think that meditation is the only way to view your own record, or can you access it by using psychedelics? And then Amanda wants to know, what is the best way to access your Akashic record?
Okay, great questions. There are many different ways to access the Akashic records. Like we shared, Edgar Cayce was through, he'll do a self-hypnosis. Some people would do it through meditation. I have not myself experienced psychedelics, so I cannot answer to that. but I can answer to the way that I access and the way that I teach my students to access is through a key of access, which are, words that brings, as I shared before, to the vibration of the records. And there is no right or wrong. That is the right way for you, right? So every person that is interested in access the Akashic Records should be open to the way that is best for them. And one of the best ways is to be open to synchronicities, right? When someone says, and you just follow the little tips of synchronicity that the universe is always sending to you. This podcast probably is going to be one of the seeds of the universe that is going to bring aha to many, many people, right?
Absolutely. There was one more question that came in on social media, and it's something that I personally like. I'm a physics guy myself. So Joanna asks, how would you relate the Akashic Record to the simulation hypothesis? Are you familiar with what the simulation hypothesis is?
Yes, and that's such a great question. In my perception and in my view, in my experience, by through giving sessions to almost daily connecting to my Akashic Records, I believe that while as I look to a person that is today in this moment in life, right? So as this person comes to receive an Akashic Record session, you're not going to be able to delete the past memories and have a different past memories. However, you can, an Akashic Record session today, as someone look at their past, can shift how they feel about their experiences in their past. And automatically this will have a powerful shift in their present reality, right? So the way that I see it is it's almost like, in a way, you shift you shift the vibration of your past. And as you look into, so this is, looking at the past, Akashic Records past, and as you look into the Akashic Records of the future, there are so many possibilities, so many, mathematical possibilities of outcomes that, and that is one of the biggest difference in, between that separates Akashic Records from any other intuitive, form of, intuitive form of work, is that we don't tell people what is going to happen because there are so many different alternatives for the future. But an Akashic Records can support you in understand how you can, shift your beliefs and how you plant your seeds in today, so you can bring it out the best outcome for the best future, the best probability for the future in the person. So in a way, as you look into the simulation hypothesis, there is all this. In my understanding, there is all these alternatives and possibilities, right, all happening at the same time. And that is pretty much how it is in the records. However, it can support you in planting the right seeds, in choosing the right path that will bring to you the best outcome.
That is truly remarkable. And for the people that are listening right now that have never heard of the Akashic Record before, let me try to explain this a different way for you. If you use your Akashic Record to reevaluate your past perception of your own life, this life or one that's happened before, you can then have a different perception of your current reality, allowing you to unlock other possibilities. And that's why I strongly believe that using things like Reiki and the Akashic Record to overcome PTSD, because it not only removes you from the situation and allows you to observe it as a third party, but it gives you the ability to forgive yourself. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you struggle from PTSD or any stress-related issue, one of the biggest things is being able to forgive yourself so you can build up the confidence to go about your day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And forgiveness is a big, big piece, because there is so much healing that comes from, looking back in an Akashic memory where you assume things, right? You look at the situation, and then at that time, in the perception that you had in life, you made a decision, you made an agreement, and you said, this is it. I'm no longer, that door closed for me, right? But then when you connect through the Akashic Records and you have this bigger view, perspective, you are able to look at, wow, that maybe that doesn't really mean what I thought it meant at that time. And then you can, start the healing process and connect to, who you need to forgive. Is that yourself? Is there someone that is involved in this situation? And everything can shift from that.
Wonderful. So we are just up against the clock for this episode. I would like to thank you very much for coming on the show. I think that this is an excellent alternative method of treating cognitive health, PTSD, and stress. And I hope that the listeners and subscribers to this channel truly look at this with an open mind. So if they did want to get in touch with you to use your services to either learn how to read their own record or have you read their record for them to help cope, how do they go about finding you on the web?
You can find me at Akashic Records Institute.com. We also have a Facebook group, and everything has the same name, Akashic Records Institute. So I have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So if you go in there and look for Akashic Records Institute, you'll find me.
Patricia, if you could please hold the line. And folks, don't go anywhere because we have a product review coming up right now.
It's time for a product review.
Organic Mugwort Tea by Buddha Teas. Vivid dreams and stress-reducing tea, mugwort, also known as sailor's tobacco and wild wormwood, is a member of the daisy family and is native to Europe and Asia. Mugwort now grows as a weed throughout North America and has many medicinal benefits and psychedelic properties. The main benefits of mugwort tea includes its ability to ease menstrual pain, improve digestion, reduce anxiety and depression, promote dream retention, help with weight loss efforts, strengthen the immune system, detox the body, and help regulate diabetes. Mugwort also helps with bone and joint discomfort and pain. Mugwort has been promoted as a nervine to soothe the central nervous system and treat insomnia, anxiety, and even seizures, according to the American Cancer Society. The dream-promoting effects of mugwort have been reported since the Middle Ages in Europe and is thought to open the third eye, sparking vivid dreams. Mugwort is one of my favorite herbs. I drink mugwort tea at least 3 times per week, and it is by far my favorite legal herb for smoking. After a long day, it helps me relax, and my dreams feel more like a memory than a dream the next day. I use mugwort tea before bed when I'm struggling with solving a problem, and most of the time I wake up with the answer. It's like my mind was solving it while I was sleeping. Mugwort also mixes well with cannabis and can intensify the experience. Buddha Teas is the brand I drink. For more information about organic mugwort tea by Buddha Teas, please visit their website at buddhateas.com. A link to the written version of this will be in the podcast description. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast as much as I have. For more information about Mind Toy Box or the music I compose that supports cognitive health, please visit mindtoybox.com. And until next time, be well.